What if justice did not arrive with gallows or gun? And what if the witnesses were leaves, hanging, drying, rustling faint inside a barn that knew more than paper? Before we step inside this house, tell us in the comments where you're watching from, and subscribe to join this community of witnesses. It begins not with men, but with tobacco. Rows of cured leaves hung like skins, stiff and brittle. They whispered when wind crossed slats, a sound like faint applause or confession. When touched, they crackled, shedding fine dust clinging to fingers. Barn doors rose high, swollen from years of damp, hinge screaming whenever moved. Latch heavy, iron cold, clicked into place with sound obscene in quiet. Shutters groaned against gust, vibration running beam to beam. Silence pressed thicker here than field outside, silence like soil stacked upon chest. It was into such house, meant only for crop, that justice walked. Overseer, who beat hands bloody on lash, who made cruelty ritual, who trusted doors, who never feared hinges groan. Josiah, enslaved man, keeper of silence, stood watchful. Ledger of memory open, though never inked. One would command no more. One would become sealed where once he sealed others in pain. Tobacco House would remember more than leaf weight. It would remember justice quiet as dusk. Winter lay heavy on boundary between Tennessee and Virginia. Fields stripped, canes bare, tobacco cut hanging in long barns. Air damp with frost, ruts along roads glittering silver when suns scarce peaked. Main house stood proud, though weathered. Whitewashed walls flaked, columns cracked by chill. Windows sweated inside, glass dripping. Drafts pushed through warped boards, causing curtains to shiver as though house breathed troubled. Barns rose dark behind. Massive doors, wood swollen by rain, shrieked when forced. Smell of drying leaves filled air, pungent, sharp, clinging to skin. Oil lamps smoked under rafters, soot trailing black fingers along beams. Ledgers open in master's office bore columns of profit beside scars of ink bleed. Figures blurred when damp lifted pages. Blotted names marked workers lost, moved, dead. Bible nearby, cover warped, held equal weight on desk. Quarters sagged at field edge. Cabins small, roofs patched, windows stuffed with cloth. Mud-caked thresholds, doors hanging crooked. Boots tore deeper ruts as wagons passed, prints pressed into ground eternal. Soil marked all, and the ground remembers. Everywhere smell, leaf, oil, sweat. Overseers' shouts carried through wood, striking barns like lash echoes. Crows gathered on roof beams, black silhouettes against gray. They rustled once, then stilled, heads tipping as watchers. This plantation lived in semblance of order, barns and houses aligned like tally lines. But beneath, decay. Hinges rusted, ink smeared, beams sagged. More fragile than masters saw. Men like Josiah knew fragility because they carried weight of structure. They knew boards warped, doors stuck. One day, those flaws would cooperate with silence. Josiah labored within barns since youth. His task: hang, check, sweep leaves as they dried. Hands rough, kerchief folded at belt to wipe sweat or wipe blood unseen. His stillness unsettled. Other men groaned, cursed low. Josiah never. By candle or sun, his gaze fixed ember light, eyes glimmer brief, then gone. When overseer barked, Josiah nodded, breathed slow. Rhythm measured, inhale, exhale, breath shaped to quell fury. Silence his weapon. Each lash seen tallied inward. He kept account with toe on soil, with cloth scratch on wood, with inhalation counts. Not one insult passed without entry. Ledger of memory deeper than overseer's ink. He endured humiliation rehearsed daily. But silence was not submission. It was patience. layering strength as leaves layer into bale. Pressed long enough, silence becomes harder than iron. In evenings, he sat by door on timber floor. Breeze rustled leaves above. His eyes bore sorrow, but also resolution. Stillness meant endurance beyond whip's strike. Stillness meant waiting until opportunity ripened slower than crop. The overseer mistook silence for emptiness, mistook stillness for resignation. Josiah hid nothing. He prepared. Silence folded around him like cloak, hiding heat until night came without moon. Then the stillness would open. Cruelty here was ritual. Overseer did not lash from temper alone, he performed. Each dawn, workers lined. Overseer stood boots planted, whip raised overhead ceremonially, leather whistling before strike. Crack against post, louder than scream, echoing into cabins. He demanded all eyes witness. Ledger balanced beside, rations subtracted as lash fell. Each number mirrored each welt. Tobacco smoke thick from pipe he clenched, spreading haze across line. Boots ground dust rhythmically, body swaying almost dance. Punishment became stage act. Children forced to watch, wives of masters looked approving. Silence demanded except cries orchestrated. Daily repetition made spectacle commonplace. Cruelty normalized into routine. Overseer's hands bled sometimes from intensity, knuckles raw, but he laughed blood away as badge. Josiah stood silent, witness. He memorized cadence. 3 cracks, pause, insult, 1 again. Predictable. Predictability meant map, and map meant chance. Overseer believed his ritual immortality, but each gesture wrote itself also into Josiah's inward ledger. Ritual, repeated too long, becomes fragility. Before the moonless night, whispers rode air among the barns. Lanterns hissed through their bowls full, flames sputtering uneven as if refusing work. Dogs howled nightly, not toward woods, but directly at the tobacco houses. Snouts lifted, jaws wide, voices long. Leaves hanging above rustled without hand or wind, sound like paper pages turned by ghost. Shutters slammed sudden one noon with no storm to explain. Hinges moaned long, delirious note, stopping hearts in quarters. Overseer dismissed omen with curses, but workers whispered, ground restless, ground remembering. Voices carried low across cabins, fragments of rhyme, mutters naming kin lost, hints that silence itself fattened with purpose. Josiah stayed quiet. He swept barn floor, stacked bundles, did not join in talk. But his mind counted. Shutter slam, 1, dog's cry, 2, rustled leaf, 3. Numbers etched invisible marks across his heart. Ledger forming quick, strokes made of silence, not ink. Barns grew heavy with portents. Every creak, every lantern gutter, each small sound-shaped omen. Overseer blind, his eyes closed by ritual habit. Josiah's eyes wide, his silence stretched taut until ready to cut. Overseer's body began betraying him before night of closure. Hands raw from lash, blisters open, lines cut deep into skin. He wrapped them clumsily, blood-staining cloth dark, then cracking open again when whip swung. He laughed it off, showing wounds as badge of discipline. But cracks deepened, his grip dropped quicker. He coughed in barns, rag pressed over mouth. Red-spotted linen, though he claimed dust alone cause. Wheezes echoed rafters at night, barn answering with leaf whisper. Physicians summoned. Boots tapped stair thrice. Voice booming, calling it ague, swamp fever, strain of season. Prescribed bleedings. Overseer sat with sleeve rolled, vein opened. More blood spilt, body weaker. Lamp guttered during visits. Doctor scribbled notes, then crossed them, smudged margin unreadable. Remedies changed, but illness thickened. Overseer's voice hoarse, ordering still but less control. Josiah listened, silent sentinel. He counted coughs, one, then pause. Another group, longer pause. He paid heed to time between lash lifts before whip fell slack. Affliction misinterpreted gave overseer pride, but silence interpreted true. Body signaled decline. This was omen, not accident. Physicians' ink denied, neighbors whispered superstitions, overseer dismissed. Only Josiah's silence kept record exact. Silence not blind, silence diagnostic. He marked each pulse, breath, tremor. Ground beneath barns carried stains. He looked down sometimes, knowing soil wrote truth beyond paper. Night chosen came without moon. Sky pressed dark as cloth pulled tight. Wind hushed, even insects stilled. Josiah gathered tokens, rope length coiled under shirt, hemp scratching skin, latch pin pocketed, iron weight cold against thigh. Cedar sprig kept in hand, scent sharp, reminding of graves lined with same. Rag steeped in lamp oil, damp heavy, carried to mask other scent. Each token marked vow. Not simple tools, each memory bound. Rope for bondage endured, pin for doors sealed on kin, cedar for mourning unspoken, rag for smoke suffocated. 4 tokens, each counted, each balanced against names erased. He walked fields, alone, counting steps by breath. 10 paces to road, 20 to fence, 40 until barn black shape before him. Each count hardened resolve. Silence swelled around, thick as fog. Stars did not break through, candle faint only in big house distant. Barn loomed, swollen doors straining hinges. He touched latchpin, metal biting cold. Cedar scent pressed nostrils, rope burned hand, rag dripped. All prepared. Overseer stumbled toward barn himself, drunk from nightcup, pipe smoke twining. Josiah followed silence, breath steady, stillness perfected through years now guiding. No word spoken, no shout, only ritual prepared by tokens, sealed by silence. Inside barn, overseer muttered, surveying rows of leaves. Smoke drifted from pipe, lines curling upward toward beams. He turned as Josiah entered, eyes narrowed drunk suspicion. Josiah said nothing, his breath even, body calm. Steps slow as prayer. Hinges groaned protest as barn doors drawn inward. Overseer shouted wordless, but too late. Rope coiled, knot tightened. Latch slammed iron into place. Pins slid with click, echo loud through timbers. Rag's smell of oil thickened. He struck at doors, boots pounding, fists bloodying knuckles already raw. Boards rattled but held. Hinges moaned, but not stronger. Josiah outside, still stone. Leaves rustled above, whispering like voices approving. Silence surged, pressing entire field. Barn had become archive, coffin, reckoning chamber. Overseer, once master of lash, now prisoner of his own storage. Josiah turned from door only after breath even, count complete. Leaves whispered his kin's names. Soil accepted new memory underfoot. Inside the barn, the overseer's shouts began sharp, then broke ragged. His boots pounded timber, fists boomed against door, but thick plank muffled voice until it sounded like storm fading into distance. Leaves overhead rustled, each shuffle like whisper of names. His blows came arrhythmic, first fast, then weaker. Josiah outside listened, head bowed slightly, counting. 1 strike, mark. A pause. 2nd mark. Sounds became numbers, numbers wove into litany of kin, stolen, whipped, lost. Within minutes, intervals stretched, silence longer between gasps. Overseer barked orders at emptiness, then gagged into cough. Boards quivered faint, latch creaked but refused. Iron pin bit deeper into wood as though ground itself held it. Moon never broke cloud. Night deepened. Barn became black tomb with whispering leaves. Josiah leaned against post, cedar sprig in hand, breathing steady. He tallied each muffled thud until silence grew final. There was no cheer, no triumph. Only counting finished, ledger closed in hush. Silence did not shout. It pressed, suffocating but holy. Leaves ceased rustle. Even dogs hushed. Barn stood as stone, ground beneath drinking new truth. At dawn, neighbors remarked absence. Overseer not seen on porch, not at line. Tobacco barn shut tight. They broke latch at last, found doors warped closed. What lay within, whispered rumor only. Public claim, accident, collapse, drinks ruin. Court recorded single line, death by mischance, 1841. Ledger blot thick as bruise drowned detail. Name struck. Margin vanished. Safer this way. Rain slicked courthouse steps. Bells tolled muffled in drizzle. Few mourned long. Slaves worked still, ground damp under boots. Lips sealed in habit, deeper than law. Josiah never questioned. Silence wrapped him as cloth. He bent to leaves again, calm, rope on shoulder, eyes still. No paper, no preacher spoke his truth. Only soil and wood knew. Authority preferred erasure. Justice hidden for fear, truth inspire. Silence safer, therefore silence preserved. Yet ground remembered iron pins bite. Barn doors scarred still bore testimony denied by ink. Years lay thick. Barn weathered, rebuilt yet not cleansed. Workers whispered when latch groaned in storm. Children sang rhyme, low so adults scolded. Sealed in leaves, silence keeps keys. The melody rose like breath, fell like hushed laugh. Fear kept it near firelight. Archivists decades later cataloged fragment. Rope fiber jammed in crack. Latch found bent. He wrote margin note, faint. Story of overseer closed in own barn. Another hand crossed it harsh, smudge black streaking page. Suppressed again. Still tale spread. Some said he clawed walls, others that leaves smothered him. Truth blurred, but presence held. Barns rebuilt whispered in wind, tobacco rustling not only from draft, but memory. Legend longer than law. Silence stronger than paper. Ground kept echo, latch groan repeating for new ears. Reckoning does not shout. It waits. Tobacco house creaks even now in storms. Hinges strain, latch rattles though no hand near. Leaves rustle in summer nights as though voices reciting. Josiah's name absent in record, yet silence assigns it place. Justice, not revenge. It is weight-pressing air of barn, unseen but endured. Rope gone, overseer vanished, but ritual remains. Wind blows through cracks, load drone like breath. Dogs still sometimes wail facing barns empty. Workers later swore flame would not catch easily near its threshold, as though air heavy, refusing spark. Every November, frost on ruts glistens cruel. Soil damp, dark. Those who step heavy say ground softer, as if still soaked. The ground remembers. Ledger denied, law erased, but silence bore truth. This was not spectacle, not riotous. It was method, ritual, controlled as farmers tally. Every lash overseer delivered was logged. Josiah answered not with blade or torch, but with the silence of closure. Now barn stands folded in tail and tremor, windows gone, boards warped. In storm, latch bangs itself, echo resounding down fields. Some say it is overseer's hand, begging still. But silence knows better. Silence does not release. Reckoning smolders like dried tobacco, acrid, lingering, heavy. Not fire, but memory catching in throat. Ground, latch, leaves, all participants. Breath contained. Ledger balanced in air, though unwritten. The story ends without closure. Barn stands, door sealed in echo. Josiah's silence stretched still across century. Reckoning abides, wait without word.